Nepali security guard looked down on until he became a US senator in the shadow of America's tallest glass towers, where the powerful moved freely and the overlooked stood silently in corners. A Nepali immigrant worked as a security guard. Day after day, people passed him as if he were invisible, some barely nodding, others sneering, a few mocking his broken English. He was the man who held doors open, checked badges, and stood watch in the lobby. To them, he was just a guard, forgettable, replaceable, unimportant. But what no one knew was that inside the heart of this quiet man burned a fire so relentless that one day he would walk into the very halls of the United States Senate, not as a guard, but as an elected senator shaping the future of the country that once looked down on him. Before we continue this story, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, make sure to subscribe now. Don't forget to hit the like button and press the bell icon so you never miss our new stories. Rajendra Gurung was born in a small hillside village in Nepal. His family had little: mud brick walls, a tin roof that leaked in monsoon rains, and a mother who worked endless hours in the fields just to put food on the table. As a child, he dreamed beyond the mountains. His father had once told him, "Education is your passport to the world." That phrase never left him, but opportunity was scarce. Rajendra studied under a kerosene lamp, walking miles each day to a school that had cracked windows and no proper desks. While other boys dreamed of cricket matches, he dreamed of America, the land of possibilities he had seen only in faded magazines. Years later, after countless sacrifices, he arrived in the United States with little more than a suitcase and broken English. He took the first job he could find, a night shift security guard in a corporate building. The job was lonely and the pay barely covered rent in a cramped basement apartment. But Rajendra was proud. He wore his uniform neatly, always polished, his shoes, and greeted everyone with respect. Yet in the eyes of many, he was just the guard with the accent. Some laughed at his heavy pronunciation when he said, "Good evening." Others ignored his greetings altogether. Executives brushed past him as if he didn't exist. Even cleaners sometimes received more acknowledgement than he did. To the world, he was invisible, but invisibility gave him perspective. While standing for long hours in marble lobbies, he watched the people who held power: businessmen, politicians, lawyers. He saw how they spoke, how they moved, how they made decisions. Every shift became a classroom. Every insult became fuel. Rajendra faced countless humiliations. One winter evening, as snow fell outside, an executive dropped his ID card on the floor. Instead of bending to pick it up, he snapped his fingers at Rajendra, demanding he hand it to him like a servant. Rajendra did so quietly, but deep inside, something broke. Another time, while guarding an event, a group of young interns mocked him for standing silently in a corner. They imitated his accent, laughing at how he said, "Security." Rajendra stayed silent, but inside, he promised himself that one day those same types of people would have to listen when he spoke. Life outside work wasn't easier. His landlord looked down on him. Strangers in grocery stores sometimes avoided him. At community events, people assumed he was uneducated. But Rajendra had a secret. After his night shifts, while the city slept, he studied. He devoured books on politics, history, and law. He took community college classes, struggling through essays and presentations. He worked 2 jobs: guard by night, student by day, sleeping only a few hours. In his neighborhood, he became known for helping others, guiding new immigrants through paperwork, translating documents, or tutoring kids for free. His empathy grew from his own struggles. People began to respect him. Years passed. Rajendra earned his degree in political science, then a master's in public administration. He didn't stop there. He began attending local town hall meetings, first just as an observer. Eventually he stood to ask questions. His English was still accented, but his voice carried sincerity that people couldn't ignore. Neighbors encouraged him to run for local office. At first, he laughed. How could a security guard from Nepal enter politics in America? But the same fire that had carried him across oceans told him he had to try. He ran for city council. He had no money, no political family, no powerful endorsements, but he had stories. He spoke of working minimum wage jobs, of being overlooked, of knowing the pain of discrimination. His words connected with ordinary people who had felt invisible too. Against all odds, he won. Years later, Rajendra stood on a stage with bright lights and television cameras. The crowd before him was massive. The man who once held doors open for executives was now giving a victory speech, not for city council, not for state office, but for the United States Senate. He had climbed every step of the political ladder through relentless perseverance. Every insult in that corporate lobby had been fuel. Every laugh at his accent had been a reminder that his voice mattered. As he stood at the podium, the same newspapers that once ignored him now printed his story on their front pages. The world was astonished. A man who once wore a security uniform, invisible to society, was now one of the most powerful lawmakers in the nation, and those who had mocked him, they watched as he raised his right hand and took the oath of office, swearing to serve the very country that once looked down on him. Senator Rajendra Gurung never forgot where he came from. His policies focused on immigrant rights, affordable education and dignity for workers in low-wage jobs. He spoke for the janitors, the taxi drivers, the dishwashers, and the security guards, those who were often unseen. He visited schools and told children, "Never let anyone convince you that your accent makes you less. It only proves you speak more than one language. And never forget that dignity is not in the job you hold, but in the heart you carry." People who once walked past him without acknowledgement now stood in line to shake his hand. Executives who had ignored him now sought his attention. And the young interns who had laughed at him years ago now sent him letters, ashamed of their actions. But Rajendra didn't carry bitterness. Instead, he carried purpose. His journey became a symbol that no one is truly invisible, and that sometimes the guard at the door may one day hold the keys to the nation. The man who was once looked down on became the man who lifted others up, and so the story of a Nepali security guard became the story of an American senator.